Hi guys, some of you were asking or wondering how I intend to use these baskets or book bins in my classroom. Since I can't go to my classroom now and they won't let us in until right before school starts, I'm going to show you on this shelf here that I have how I'm going to use my baskets. Of course, my shelves at school are probably a little bigger and they're definitely wider, but at least you'll have a good idea of what types of books I put in them and how I intend to use them for the school year. I did this last year and it worked really well, so I'm going to do the same thing again this year. As you notice, I have two different types of book bins because I have certain types of books that fit in the different bins better. And if you're able to get two different types, I would definitely suggest it. I like these tall ones. I call them magazine bins. Target calls them connectable holders. And then I like these other shorter, more rectangular ones called book bins. So if you're able to get both, I highly recommend it. Target, they're $3 each. As you can see, this is how I would normally set up my bins side by side. These bins are connectable, so you can actually get them clipped onto each other. However, I don't clip them at school. I keep them separated. As you can see, there's some spaces between them. And I do this because when my students go to grab a book, a lot of times they'll pull a bin out and then they'll choose their book and then they'll put the bin back. And I always separate my books by different levels, especially in the beginning for the beginning readers, because they have a difficult time finding books that they can actually read, and I don't want them to get frustrated. So I usually put the levels for them, and it makes it easier for the students to see what books they've read or what books they have not read, and then it's easier for them to search. I teach first graders, so I have young students who are some still learning to read and some can read. So I like to start off with books like Biscuit, where it's easy for some students to read and then they feel proud of themselves and excited and accomplished, and then they go on to other books. I also like Elephant and Piggy books by Mo Willems. As you know, if you saw my previous video, I bought some books from Kohl's. I also like books by Laura Numeroff. I like these series. If you take a mouse to school, I like those books. My kids love them a lot. And then I also like the series that goes There Was an Old Lady. My students love those. So that's another set of books I tend to get a lot of. I wish there were more so I could buy more. I got, I think, like 12 different ones so far. And I got doubles of some. But these are samples of books I would put inside of those magazine bins. The Biscuit books fit in here with room to spare. They're a nice size. They'll just pull out the bins and then they can choose the book they want. And it works just right. It worked last year, so I'm doing it again this year. Now I put in my books by Mo Willems, and as you can see, there is a little room on the side. I have wider books and not so wide books. These are my hardcovers, and as you can see, they fit in really well. And they're not leaning. So they'll stand up on their own. They're pretty good bins. They'll stand up on their own as long as you don't overfill them. Next are these Laura Numeroff books, and they are definitely wider than the Biscuit books. However, they do fit in the bins nicely with room to spare. And that's how they look in there. Now you're probably wondering what it looks like with bigger books and a lot more books in here than just a few. Okay, so these are my There Was an Old Lady books. And as you can see, I've got a lot of books in there. It's about halfway full. And it stands on its own. So this is what my bookshelf at school would look like with my book bins and books in them. Of course, I have more books and I just don't have access to them because they're at school and I'm not allowed to go in school right now. So I wanted to show you anyway because I know a lot of people were wondering what it would look like with books in them on a shelf. So this way you can see for yourself and you can decide whether or not these would work for you. But I like them a lot. I don't fill them up too much. And it makes it easy for the student to pull out a book bin in their level, choose a book, and then put the bin back. And it's also easy for them to figure out where their book belongs when it's in a book, as opposed to just on a shelf. Okay, so here is the other type of book bin I have. It's rectangular, and I like to use it for chapter books because they hold them really well. It's just like the perfect size. And I found out last year through trial and error that my kids and I, like my students and I, prefer this type of book bin for our chapter books. Unfortunately, my shelf will not fit 3 bins in them because I tried, so I'll just have to show you what it looks like with 2 bins. So a couple of the chapter book series that my students like to read are those like Junie B. Jones. They love that character. And they also like Monkey Me books. Those are cute too. I wish there were more Monkey Me books. There were only 4 because my students love them so much, especially when they're just starting out reading chapter books. They love them. I think the Junie B books are about normal chapter book size, and this is what they look like when they're inside. There's room on the sides for books that are a little wider, and they just fit nicer and they're easier for the students to just go through the bin, pull one that they want to read, and then put it back. So I like this for the chapter books. Some books are a lot bigger than others, especially this Diary of a Wimpy Kid book that's in hardcover compared to the Junie B first grader book that's in softcover. When you place them on top of each other, you'll see that the Diary of a Wimpy Kid book is taller and wider and thicker. So let's see if it fits into the bin. When placed in the bin, the book fits just right. Here's a Diary of a Wimpy Kid book that's softcover, so it's shorter, but it's just as wide and it fits as well. So you can see here these book bins work really well for chapter books, and I really like it. Well, now you have an idea of how I use the book bins in my classroom. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.